Pistons taking down the Toronto Raptors last night in their final game before the All-Star break. 113-95. Just another excellent game for the Pistons as they pretty much consistently led wire to wire in this one. I mean, I don't know why I'm saying consistently. I mean, it was a wire-to-wire win for the Pistons. The Raptors never led in this one. As a matter of fact, I feel like there's several of these past games for the Pistons that have been like that. Really on the whole season where they lead wire-to-wire, the opponents don't even lead at all. But the Pistons, pretty early on, building a double-digit lead, led 29-19 at the end of the first quarter. And then the Raptors kind of chipped away at that. They cut it to around 6 points with a few minutes left going into halftime, but then the Pistons closed the first half on a run. They led by 15 points at halftime and then just continued to add to the lead from there for the rest of the game. So the Pistons, just another solid win against a bit of a surprising team in the Toronto Raptors. Currently 5th place in the Eastern Conference. This was not a team that I expected to be where they're at. I thought maybe they would be a play-in team. But, I mean, hey, I keep talking about it specifically with the Pistons and where they're at. I mean, the East was pretty wide open coming into this year. And the Pistons have taken advantage, and I think the Raptors are one of those teams that have been taking advantage as well. But Cade Cunningham, man, this guy is just on a roll lately. He just continues to prove game by game, week by week, why this guy is an all-star starter and why he should be in the MVP discussion. I think he will eventually crack the top 5. He should be in the top 5 of the MVP discussion. I don't think he'll make his way into the top 3. I mean, top 2 is clearly going to be between Jokic and Shea Free Throw Alexander again. You already know who I'm picking out of those. And then, I mean, Giannis is pretty much out of it with his injuries. He's not going to be eligible. I know Luka's probably in there. I know he's even dealt with some injuries this season. But that's another guy who would probably be in there. But Cade Cunningham, 28 points, 7 rebounds, 9 assists. And my favorite part, 9 of 14 shooting. I'm telling you. I mean, Cade Cunningham, that's what makes him a star. That's what makes him special, is even on the games where he's not shooting well, he is still finding a way to impact the game. But games like this, when he is shooting well, man, that's when he is like elite. He is tough to stop. He is what drives this Pistons team. Paul Reed starting in place of the starting center, Jalen Duren, and the backup center, Isaiah Stewart. We'll talk about that in a moment. But Paul Reed, 22 points, 5 rebounds, 3 assists on 10 of 17 shooting. So he did a great job filling in as the starting center. Duncan Robinson, 2 of 5 from 3, 13 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. Tobias Harris, 12, double points and rebounds. And then Asar Thompson, the fours, all fours across the board, 4 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, just 2 of 3 shooting. And then Kevin Huerter, getting his most action off the bench that he's gotten since coming over at the trade deadline for Jaden Ivey. 4 of 9 shooting, 1 of 3 from downtown. So Pistons, a lot of contributors. And I mentioned with some of those suspensions, I mean, this team has already proven it doesn't matter if you've got guys hurt. In this case, you got guys suspended. You're going to have guys step up. Guys are stepping up. I mentioned Paul Reed is a perfect example. This guy doesn't really have that, the playing time this year, but, you've got your number 1 and number 2 centers that are out with suspension right now. So This guy comes in, steps up, makes an immediate impact. Business as usual. And that's what I love about this Pistons team, and I keep saying it. I'm just going to beat this horse into the ground until it comes true. That's why J.B. Bickerstaff needs to be the front runner for Coach of the Year, for crying out loud. I mean, this Pistons team, it doesn't matter who's on the floor. They're just going to find a way to get it done. Meanwhile, Pistons dominating on the glass, 63-38, including a 17-11 edge on the offensive glass. A stat in which the Pistons have, I feel like pretty much every single game this season, have had the edge in. Points in the paint, 50-34. I just love that more throwback style of play from this Pistons team. And, of course, led by as many as 23 points in this game, while the Toronto Raptors never led. So that is it for the Pistons until after the All-Star break. They go into the All-Star break, which is always seen as like the halfway point of the season, which is a little bit misleading. We're closer to the two-third part of the season than we are the halfway mark of the season. We are, with the Pistons at least, 53 games in. The halfway mark is 41 games in an 82-game season. So we're a little bit past halfway. But the Pistons in a great spot, 40-13, leading the Eastern Conference. Still a consistent 5 to 6 game lead over the rest of the competition. You got the Celtics, the Knicks. The Cavs have snuck in there. They've actually been playing really good, even before the trade deadline, before they acquired James Harden. They were already starting to heat up before that, but especially ever since they've acquired James Harden, they haven't even lost a game, I don't think. So the Cavs are kind of trying to sneak in back to where we thought they would. But Celtics, Knicks, and Cavs, the next three teams behind the Pistons, but still a pretty good cushion. And the Pistons as well, second best record in the NBA. 2 games behind the Thunder, which the 2 games the Thunder won. They have 2 more games played than the Pistons, and they won both of those. But the Pistons actually stand to gain some ground and even potentially overtake OKC because Shea Free Throw Alexander is out for some time with an injury. As a matter of fact, he's actually going to be missing the All-Star game. So, Pistons in a great spot. And we'll see if they can keep winning games after the All-Star break with some of those suspensions. I think this news came out yesterday after the show with Luke covering. So I don't think he covered this on his show, but the suspension's officially handed down. And as I suspected, Isaiah Stewart got the biggest suspension because, you know, if you get involved in one of these altercations, it's already bad enough. But if you're a player who was on the bench and you come in off the bench and you join in on all the fracas, that's a big no-no right there, on top of the already established no-no of being in one of these altercations to begin with. So Isaiah Stewart suspended for 7 games. Meanwhile, Miles Bridges and Moussa Diabate of the Hornets getting 4-game suspensions. And then Jalen Duren, a 2-game suspension, with last night's game being the first game of that suspension for Duren, which, of course, if you don't remember, the altercation started after Diabate hit Duren with a hard foul. Both players got in each other's faces, had some pushing and shoving. Duren's kind of swiping away. Not really a hit. It was more like just a pushing away Diabate's face, and then that's when Diabate started swinging. And then Bridges got involved, and then that's when Stewart got involved, and all that crazy stuff. Still kind of tame in comparison to some other sports that we've seen. Like, I think any of the dugout clearing brawls that we've seen in baseball get a lot worse than this. And obviously NHL we've seen a lot worse. So, but the Pistons, again, 7 games. They'll be without Isaiah Stewart in 2 games without Jalen Duren. So he missed last night's game and then the first game back, which is a week from today at New York against the Knicks. Duren will miss that game as well. And then he'll be back the following Saturday against the Bulls, which, I mean, hey, some time to rest up as well with the All-Star break currently, which he'll still be playing in. Won't be in the dunk contest, unfortunately, Duren, but should still be good to go after the All-Star break. Meanwhile, for Stewart, last night's game should have been the first of that. Then we got the Knicks-Bulls that he'll miss after the All-Star break. That'll be the 3 games in to his suspension, and then the next 4 after that. A couple big games. We got the Spurs, got OKC, we got the Cavs. So you got 2 of the best teams in the West, and then the Cavs, who are red hot right now, and then the Magic on March 1st. So the earliest that we can see Isaiah Stewart come back from his suspension is Tuesday, March 3rd at Cleveland. So that's another pretty big game as well. But they'll be getting him back just in time for another big matchup with the Spurs the following game. But as I've mentioned, I think the Pistons will be fine given their established history this season of overcoming injuries and having guys step up. And that is, of course, evidenced by last night's game with Paul Reed stepping into a starting spot and playing very well as a result. So, again, final score for last night's Pistons game was 113-95. And we've got more games today in the NBA. And then that'll be it for All-Star Weekend. And then games will pick back up 1 week from today, next Thursday, as the Pistons take on the New York Knicks. We'll see if the Pistons, even with some of these suspensions with Duren and Stewart, if they can come away with another mega blowout of the Knicks, which I think we all would love to see happen on their floor. Imagine that 3 games against each other this season, and all 3 mega blowouts for the Pistons. Let's see if the Pistons can push the overall point differential between the 2 teams in the 3 matchups to over 100. I think we would all love to see that.
If you missed today's installment of On the Docket, podcast it at foxsports1019.com or wherever you get your podcasts. Be sure to tune in live weekdays at noon on Jackson's Fox Sports 101.9 FM.